Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Coming Up Milhouse. We, including Vera, just watched episode 11 of season 6, so we're back on track this week, and it is called Fear of Flying.
So, fear of flying, you know that Marge might have a little bit of a phobia about getting on a plane.
Your mother has a fear of flying.
So much for the days when I could say, at least my mother's normal.
Well, everybody's got a fear of something.
Not everybody.
Sock puppets!
And can you imagine Homer would feel a little nervous if she goes into therapy because she might be talking about some of the stuff that he's up to?
Yep.
Well, that happens in this episode for sure. And I got to get down to the nitty-gritty of why Marge doesn't like to fly, and it might have something to do with the Hitchcock parody, and I'm sure we'll talk about that. So why don't we kick it off with lines? Give me line number 1.
Line number 1. Oh my god, that dog has a puffy tail! And Homer was chasing this poodle down the street and having a great old time chasing a dog with a puppy tail.
He's easily distracted, isn't he?
Very much so. Very much so.
So my line has to do with Homer's looking for a new bar because he gets kicked out of Moe's bar, and he's going around, and he's not having a lot of luck. He's having a hard time finding one, but he finally goes to this pilot's bar, and he says to himself, "The last bar in Springfield. If they don't let me in here, I'll have to quit drinking." And you hear, "Yay!" And then he says, "Shut up, liver!" He punches himself, and he's like, "Ow, my liver!"
Oh, Homer. Very Homer heavy on the lines, because I think my next one is also a Homer line. Marge, it's 3 a.m. Shouldn't you be baking? Then that was Marge was up on the roof putting shingles on the roof at 3 a.m. and the pounding woke Homer up, and he asked her, you know, shouldn't you be baking at 3 a.m.
Instead of roofing.
And then she says, yeah, in a minute. So she was going to do that next.
Well, my next line kind of is in the same league as that one. So she's stressed out, and she calls like a radio psychic, and the radio psychic says, "Hello, radio psychic. You will die a terrible, terrible death." "Oh, I'm sorry. That was for our last caller. Hello, radio psychic. You will die a terrible, terrible death." That's what it says to Marge when she's trying to call to get some help.
I feel like that radio psychic wasn't very good.
It was the cheap way because Homer didn't want to pay for a real therapy.
He didn't want to pay more than $10 for therapy at all, and he was very concerned that she was going to get pulled away from him, I think, with her therapy.
Yeah. Oh boy. What about scenes? What's your favorite scene?
Well, my favorite scene is actually when Moe kicks Homer out of the bar, and they are doing pranks on Moe, and like the pranks are not nice pranks, and then Homer does a pretty low-key prank with the sugary do, and Moe is like, "That's it, you're out of here," takes the caricature off the wall.
Mount Lushmore, he called it.
Yes, Mount Lushmore, the caricature of Mount Lushmore. And then, and your songs coming out of the jukebox, your favorite songs coming out of the jukebox. He gets the record and he tosses it out the door. And it was pretty great. So, what about you?
So, you know how I love parodies of properties that I enjoy, and I already alluded to the Hitchcock one at the very end. So that is definitely up there. But they also parodied Lost in Space.
Yes.
And it was pretty good because Homer did the Dr. Smith impression, and Lisa is the robot. Danger, danger. And it's got the Lisa hair for the globe thing on its head. And I don't know, it just struck me as funny that they did that. I'm not a huge Lost in Space guy, but They did a good job with this one. So.
They did a few movie references in this.
Yeah.
It was pretty great, including Grandpa was on the plane and he's, like Home Alone.
Yeah.
And so that was pretty great. And what about your loser?
So you kind of alluded to that. It's Grandpa because they go on the plane. Marge freaks out. They get off the plane, but they forget Grandpa. And so Grandpa's on the plane going to wherever they were going to go, going, because he's flipping out because
He's alone.
he's alone on the plane. So that was my loser.
And he may or may not have luggage, honestly, because they took all the luggage home with them, and I don't know if Grandpa had luggage or not, but who knows?
Who knows?
I went with Guy Incognito, which was Homer's doppelganger, apparently. And at the beginning of the episode, right before he starts chasing the poodle, Guy Incognito, who very much looks like Homer in disguise with a whirly mustache and a top hat, goes into Moe's, and they think that he's Homer in disguise, and they beat him up and kick him out. And then Homer walks by, and he's like, "Oh, that guy looks like me. Dog with a poopy tail." And what about your winner?
So this is a first in Coming Up Milhouse history, where my winner is also Grandpa.
Oh.
Is also the loser. For the same reason. Because, yeah, he got left on the plane, but he got to go on a trip, go on an adventure. And who knows? I'm assuming they went somewhere decent. They were going somewhere fun.
They weren't allowed to go to Alaska
Or
or
Hawaii.
because those are the crazy states.
Yeah, exactly. But they were going somewhere on vacation. They got kicked off, and Grandpa got to go. So this was the first time I was watching, and I thought, the winner and loser can be the same guy for the same thing. So that's what I'm going with.
Good.
Grandpa's my winner. What
That's
about
nice.
you?
Well, it was a hard choice for me, honestly, because we could go with a few, and I wrote a couple down because I thought that you would go with Skinner or Smithers for sure.
Smithers was on there.
So I'm gonna go with Smithers because he's just randomly driving down the street. And it goes back to my favorite scene in the show, that when Moe pulls Homer's favorite song out of the jukebox, it's Raining Men, and he frisbee tosses it out the window, and it goes into Smithers' passenger window, and he's like, "Oh!" And he was very excited to get that free record in his car and drive home and listen to that song. So methinks that might be Smithers' favorite song as well.
He definitely got a bonus in this episode.
Oh my goodness.
Free record of a song he enjoys.
I am going to give a shout out did you have any backup losers or anything?
I did not, but go for it. Yeah.
So I'm going to give a shout out to the Crazy Clown airplane company carrier, just as a loser, because, they accidentally kept pushing Homer to be a pilot, even though he was drinking in the bar for free, pretending to be a pilot, and they lost out a little bit, even though that's not supposed to be public knowledge in the show.
They got some serious damage on
Yes,
that
they
plane.
did. So they were a backup loser. And I also need to give a shout out to the monkeys for a winner. So
This is true.
that's it.
A lot of parodies and
Yes.
pop culture references in this one, and I love that.
Excellent episode. We steered off of track last week just to wish our Luke a special happy birthday. So if you haven't watched that episode, that is the origin story of our sign-off, which we will give here in a minute. And next week we will move into episode 12 of season 6 and give a review on that.
That is right. We will see you soon, and until then,
Jiminy
Jillikers!
Wow! We must be really flying high! Those people down there look all tiny and blurry, just like the inside of a cataract.